This is a reading of Shibboleth, Part 10. Silvio's Surprise. In Barataria, there was no fossil fuels, so there were no cars or cook stoves or heaters, except up on top of the mountain where they had all the technology and the money. But Silvio had a big surprise for all the children. He knew this, and he had brought with him the hemp cannabis seeds. Hemp is a superior, replenishable, sustainable source of energy on top of its use for food, medicine, building construction, and paper, and it cleans the air. Silvio began showing the children how to grow hemp. They planted fields and fields of hemp, indoors and out. Some of the children traded, bartered with Silvio's friends still living on the island for macaroni and cheese, peas, and chocolate in exchange for some work help cleaning up the city, Mirror City, which once hummed with good activity. It hummed like a hummingbird. But at the moment, Mirror City lay dormant, sleeping, getting older and decaying, all alone and abandoned. Why? Because all the money had gone up the hill. Most of it at the very top of the mountain, in fact, where there sat a golden pyramid which stood 3 stories tall. You can imagine the magnificence of this spectacle when the sun and the moon shined upon it. The golden pyramid was situated right in the center of a tiny little village. The few people who lived in this village could not get over the magic which this golden pyramid had over them. They loved it, but really none of them could tell you why. They called their little village Adoro. And while the children were investigating and cleaning up all of what was left of Mirror City, they found all kinds of useful and interesting things, like old abandoned factories, a donut-making machine, old cafes, more old factories, taxis, buses, amazing structures of artistic and innovative work, and golden towers for living in. Silvio said to them, "Our strategy shall be to redevelop the part of Mirror City closest to the Money Mountain. We shall draw them in, and their money, right on down the hill to us and our new hemp industry. And in this way, we shall revive and rejuvenate Mirror City." How it starts. They planted seeds. No money was needed yet. They created fields of hemp, stalk and seed, for fiber and food, and fields of hemp flour for medicine. No money yet. And while their crops were growing, some of the more machine and technology talented young folks went to preparing for the processing of their crops on a larger scale. Meanwhile, Silvio showed the young folks how to process the hemp cannabis on a small scale, so they could understand better all about the plant and nature, and so that they could always provide for themselves, just in case the machines and the robots had problems. 3 months later, the crops were ready. Now the money. All those who participated in the planting received money for their work, ice money, which melts. Step 2. What do we do with the money? Mosley may not have been much of a speaker or a talker, but he was very clever with technology. He decided to have a meeting with Silvio about the money which he was planning to use. Instead of printing paper money and using stamps to track the melting factor, Mosley informed Silvio that he could use his computer and all the phones. Everyone still had their solar-charged phones, to design a medium of exchange, ice money, which would work anywhere, anytime, and where the melting would be tracked as well as where all the money was moving. And it would indeed move, almost like a solid ring, round and round inside the electronic circuit. The melted portion of all the money out there would be transferred to a special account, which would be put to work as soon as possible to fulfill some service which the people needed. In the beginning, the focus for using this money would be in the areas of taking care of mothers and their children. Actually, in fact, all the circulating money does not accrue much demurrage charge, and the balance of the total stock of money issued is always adjusted to bring it in line with the wares, products ready to sell. The real money to help mothers and their children comes from the rent of land, which makes up the People's Land Trust. Mosley created a program which did not require any paper, and which was completely transparent, so that everyone could watch and monitor and learn the important key details about understanding a money system, like the price index, keeping it stable, and keeping an eye on where and how the money is invested, reflected ultimately as developments of the infrastructure that society uses to improve the overall smooth movement, or qigong, of activity here on Bhattacharya. In other words, of life here on Bhattacharya. Of course, this could include many things which may not have ever been considered so much before on the mainland, where decisions so often are based on making money or saving money, sometimes without even taking into consideration the impact of the activity or movement regarding the decision on life or nature. There is no more manipulating markets by playing around with the money between the sale and the purchase of our products, and thus the exchange is completed as it should be. Sale and purchase follow one after the other, as it should be, and then the exchange is completed. The old saying, treat others as you would want to be treated yourself, is the order of the day. Ice money helps to assure this. And ISIS, or any group wanting to cause mischief or manipulate things and people, will be caused to act like that force which seeks evil but only achieves good. The dark, secret, destructive activities will soon lose all of their funding, because money will no longer be able to hide. What an amazing and clever thing we have here in our ice money. With the same weapon which was used against us back on the mainland, money, we are going to defeat evil and its spellbound agents, and make it so that the beast serves us and remains subdued. Gradually, slowly, at a natural pace for each person, one by one, all of those who previously were part of the illusion and knew not what they were doing will see and understand and join us, and we will welcome them, and we will grow and develop, and then we will launch ourselves into outer space and prepare more worlds for God to come. What a very imaginative and unstoppable force of creation and life. But we must always keep in mind, money which is able to be hoarded, hoardable money, is the secret device of evil, which gives it its power. Simple, huh? It is when you know the remedy, and so now you do. Ice money. Don't keep it a secret. Blessed the one in whose heart fate placed a great idea worth living for. Ice money. Money which has been freed so that it circulates. Since it melts, it cannot be held captive. But the land must also be freed. The next day, a very special one. The next morning, when Angel woke up, she was still there on the floor, lying under the same cannabis plant she had fallen asleep under the night before. She looked around. Everything was still the same. Everybody was still asleep, all comfortably snoozing. She got up and walked over to where Mosley was lying. As soon as she got there, she looked to see if he was still asleep. She was startled all of a sudden when he popped open one eye, looking right at her. And now we have come to the last chapter, which is the beginning of this book, remember? End Shibboleth, the first book of the books of We Thoughts. Afterward, everything proceeds as it is. Nothing really seems to change at all. The fundamental law of present-day economic life is still active, usury. But something is different. The force which seeks to do evil, usury, is causing only good things to happen. What a clever way to make the best of the natural-born impulse for preserving myself, the ego. Now, ego will actually help cause that which is best for all to happen, simply by formally, consciously declaring that our money melt. Using ice money, ISIS will dwindle. Evil will become subdued and subservient. What little evil does remain, we will easily be able to manage. No one will be hurt. There will be no blood. We will all be saved. One more thing which must be formally, consciously declared in order to have the full effect of the two-edged sword coming from the mouth, and that is, we must change our system of land ownership, which presently allows certain very wealthy people or corporations to hoard massive amounts of land, just like hoarding massive amounts of gold or money, and hold it all captive until the ransom is paid. That would be the interest tribute. The harvest, which is work resulting in a product, is the rightful private property of the worker. But the land is not a product of the worker. It is the gift from God to the children, the next generation. It lives and gives with no help from the human. Water is generated and bubbles to the surface from deep underground. If the land provides our natural resources, which can take it, the land, provides our natural resources, which can take thousands of years to grow deep in the belly of Mother Nature, with no help from the human. The sun does its part, sending messengers of life, the God instructions. We will all benefit immensely when the land is rented from the People's Land Trust, where the rent money is used not for any private individual's desires, but for providing services which help us all to work together better with Mother Nature. The two-edged sword comes from my mouth, and it can come from your mouth too. It is the superior weapon which has been known for thousands of years. The only other weapon of civilized man, humans, is work. I grow hemp for my work, to heal the world. Tikkun Olam. Love, Angel Nikilikudi.